If you raised 3 safes to get to your Series B, there's a number on your cap table you've probably never modeled, and it's about to cost you more ownership than your new lead investor will take. And here's the uncomfortable part. Those safes felt like bridge cash when you signed them. Fast money, no valuation fight, back to building. But a Series B lead reads those same safes as 3 pre-sold slices of your company with rights attached. And every one of them converts the moment your priced round closes. Now, most founders find this out during term sheet negotiation, which is the worst possible time to find it. So here's what you're going to learn in this video: why post-money safes stack harder than the math you did in your head, the 4 places that stack dilution actually hits at Series B, and the 3 fixes to make before your first lead conversation while you still have the leverage to make them. So by the end, you will be able to open your own cap table and see exactly what an institutional lead is going to see. Let's get into it. Start with the real problem, because it's bigger than dilution. The problem is cap table overhang. Your pre-money cap table is already crowded before the Series B lead writes a single dollar, and that crowding creates 3 issues and institutional investor flags on site: allocation pressure, less room for the new lead without painful repricing, so side rights complexity, the MFN, and pro rata rights buried in your early safes create competing claims, and diligence friction, undocumented safe terms, or mismatched records that slow or kill term sheet momentum. Now, here's the definition that matters. A post-money safe fixes the investor's ownership at signing, usually one formula: the investment amount divided by the post-money valuation cap. A $500,000 safe on a $10 million cap locks in exactly 5%, and it holds that 5% through every later round. And that part is what founders miss. Each post-money safe keeps its own ownership percentage through every safe that comes after it. The early safe holder is not diluted by your later safes the way your common stock is. It sounds investor friendly, and it is, because the cost lands somewhere specific. Every new safe you issue pushes its dilution onto the common stock, which is mostly you and your employees. And here's the asymmetry to remember, because it is the entire game. Common stock absorbs every hit. The safe investors preserve their negotiated economics all the way through. And this is the structure IRC Partners maps for founders before they go out, because the order you find it in decides who has the leverage. Now watch what 3 of them actually do. Take 3 safes: $500,000 on a $5 million cap, that is 10%. $750,000 on an $8 million cap, that's another 9.4. $500,000 on a $10 million cap, another 5. Now stack them, and your common stock has already absorbed nearly 23% dilution before a single priced dollar arrives. Now, add a 10 to 15% option pool at Series B, and your ownership can fall below 50% before the new money lands. So here's the title question answered directly. The 4 places stacked safes hit you at Series B are conversion, where all 3 converted to preferred at terms their caps already fixed, so your new valuation cannot move them and you cannot negotiate. New money dilution, where the lead takes 15 to 25% of the post-money cap table, and that stacks on top of the safe conversions. Option pool refresh, where a 10 to 15% pool under a pre-money setup lands entirely on existing holders, including you. And pro rata claims, where safe holders with follow-on rights can demand allocation in the round and crowd out the lead. So common stock absorbs all 4. The safe investors preserve their economics through every one. And here's what the lead actually sees. The lead is doing one thing with your cap table: running a single calculation. Can I hit my target ownership at a valuation that makes sense? And is this cap table clean enough to close fast? When safe conversion exceeds 25 to 30% of your pre-money, the answer to both gets harder, and they push on your valuation or cut their check to protect their number. Now, don't worry, because most of this is fixable before your outreach even starts. The founders who keep the most equity are the ones who modeled early and cleaned up before a lead had to ask. Startup financing research from Fenwick consistently shows that founders who run scenario models before a priced round retain meaningfully more equity, with some analyses pointing to roughly 23% better retention than founders who model late or not at all. 3 fixes in order. First, build a full conversion model across 3 Series B valuations: low, middle, and high. For each one, calculate what all 3 safes convert to, what the option pool refresh costs, and what is left for the lead. If the math doesn't math at your target valuation, you need to know that before outreach, while you still do something about it. Now, second, compile every safe into one schedule. A lead will require it, and it needs to list for each instrument the cap, the discount rate, the MFN status, the pro rata rights, and any side letters. Now, that schedule belongs in your data room before the first partner meeting. Having it ready signals competence, and missing it signals risk, and missing or incomplete safe documentation is one of the most common reasons a Series B stalls after a verbal yes. Now, third, decide how you frame the overhang before the lead finds it. You can clean it up through a recap or conversion before the round, or disclose it proactively with a clear model in your data room. Letting the lead discover it for you is the one option that costs you leverage. And this is the readiness work that IRC Partners runs here at Investor Ready Capital. And according to Carta's startup financing data, the founders who model early keep materially more of their company than the ones estimating during negotiation. One mechanism deserves its own warning because it reprices you automatically. An MFN clause, a most favored nation clause, upgrades an early safe investor's terms to match the best terms you give any later safe. So if your 3 safes use different caps, the MFN holder can reach back and claim the lowest cap from a later round, and your dilution goes up without a single renegotiation. You will not see it until someone models it. And stacked safes rarely travel alone. They show up next to uncapped convertible notes that reprice at the same round, an option pool whose size depends on how crowded your pre-money already is, and Series A consent or board terms that collide with how these safes convert. Series B raises rarely die from one catastrophic mistake. They die from several small structural issues that were never modeled together in the first place at the onset. That's the readiness gap IRC Partners exists to close before the first call. So here's the part most founders skip. Before you take this raise to a single investor, you can find out whether your structure survives an institutional investment committee, safe overhang, and all. And that is what the capital raise pre-flight from IRC Partners is built to do. It runs your raise through the same gates a lead investors team uses, models exactly where your stacked safes put you, and shows you where it would get killed while you still have time to fix it. I'll put the link in the description below. So if you're heading into a Series B in the next 90 to 180 days, you must run the capital raise pre-flight before you send your deck. The rejections are the expensive way to get the same answer. Don't wait till it's too late, since you only have one shot to get it right. I'll see you in the next video.